I have the award-winning author guest today, Matt Jardine. Matt, welcome.
Thank you. It's an absolute delight to be here.
I'm happy you made it. Well, let's start off with the first question. Who is a Buddhist millionaire?
Well, contrary to popular belief, a Buddhist millionaire neither has to be Buddhist or a millionaire.
Please enlighten us.
Although you can be. I've interviewed many, and many are. The idea is this: the Buddhism side can be anything. That points to a life of meaning, yeah. And then the millionaire side is a point of money. So imagine a spectrum, right? On the spectrum, there is one end, we have the cliche of the broke creative. I love what I'm doing, I'm very happy and it's rewarding, and I've made no money for my whole life. And at the other end is these are cliches, but the rich banker who, not a happy guy. And the question has been, can you be both? Can you have a job and work that when the buzzer goes off in the morning, you jump out of bed and you love it, but also make decent money? So a Buddhist millionaire is someone who does that, loves what they're doing and makes decent money doing it.
So what made you write this book?
2007.
Yeah.
I was kind of at that crossroads in my life. My children were young. I walked them to school, and I've always been a big kind of, what's more, what is life all about? So 2007, I went to Japan to walk their super pilgrimage called the Hachi, which is 88 temples around an island, and I walked 1,400 kilometers in 30 days, basically. The subtext was to prove if time or money are real or human-made constraints. Anyway, when I finished that, I kind of ended up with sort of 9 laws, spiritual ideas that I wrote down. They're not mine, it's what I discovered, and I wrote them down, and it became my first book, The Hardest Path. Great, very nice, very enlightened, blah, blah, great, feel really good. Came back, and of course there's still bills on the mat, right? So life hasn't stopped because I feel suddenly, enlightened and great and fantastic. So then I started to wonder, can I use what I've learnt from the pilgrimage in my work life, being that we spend so much time at work? So I started applying the things I'd learned from the Hachi from the 88 to my life, and that became How to Be a Buddhist Millionaire.
How do you choose what to write about in general? First of all, do you specifically only write nonfiction?
No, I write fiction as well.
All right.
But my fiction is I call my fiction urban allegory. There's always something. I'm not trying to make a point. I'm trying to understand the point I'm making.
Yeah.
I actually write firstly for me.
Yes.
When I'm writing something down, when I've picked a subject, it means that it's either traumatizing me or I don't get it. So I'm usually trying to work my way around it. So the subjects are things that I'm trying to filter in life, and they become my books, whether it's fiction or non-fiction.
This goes back to this question that I ask almost every author that comes on the show. I ask them what writing means to you. And to always I get to see this different perspective, different purpose. It seems that you look at educating other people as, as a purpose. Would you agree?
No. Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
No, because I think primarily I'm educating myself.
When
I write, I'm trying to get it. Do I want to sell millions of copies and everyone message me and say, I loved your book, it changed my life? Of course. But to sit here, I'd be lying if I sat here and say, I'm thinking of just my audience. When I'm writing, I am just trying to work out my world. Now, as it turns out, because we're all pretty similar, right? What I work out is what someone else is trying to work out, and that's how you get an audience. But I'm not sitting down and going, right, what do my audience love? I sit down and go, how? Okay, I'll write it. And then we connect that way round. So it's pretty selfish first, actually.
So what do you do apart from also being a writer? Because most of us are kind of vigilante writers, right? We have day jobs.
I love that term. That is going to appear somewhere in a book.
Tell
Vigilante writers. That's brilliant. This is my full-time work.
Nice.
And I'll tell you why. That's a Buddhist millionaire idea. So one of the ideas of Buddhist millionaireship is that in its rawest form, Buddhist millionaireship is this: decide where you are, or be honest about where you are, and if you're dissatisfied, that's fine. Choose where you want to go, jump, right?
Yeah.
Now, some people are not ready for that, and I don't blame them. I've always been a jumper. At the moment that my career no longer lights me up, I change, much to the terror of my family. You know, I get to a peak in one thing and then go, okay, I've done that. So my career started in professional tennis, then in tennis coaching, then I had a martial arts business. And at the point where it no longer gets anything out, you know, I don't get anything out of it, or as much as I did, I changed. So now I'm literally writing full time. And that was, Sherry and I, my wife and I, 3 years ago said, well, what should we do? Should we have a change? Yeah, martial arts business is going really well. Sounds like a perfect time to give it in. And we'll just go to, where should we go? We'll go to the Middle East and just write full time. So she's teaching. And that was it. We just jump. And then the idea being, can it work? Is this idea that you follow your passion and it works, is that just a really naive kind of self-growth line, or does it actually work? And I'm constantly testing that idea.
Do you think it actually works?
Spoiler alert. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, it does.
Yeah, I'll still have to buy the book, huh?
So, yeah. Buy the book. Buy the book so it works more. But yes, it does. It does. I mean, we're not talking overnight. We're talking small. Take this, right?
Yeah.
We're here. I'm here as an author on radio. That's a tiny step, which years back you'd be like, you're kidding me, right? I haven't even written a book. You're going to be interviewed about it. And they're just small steps. And then you'll look again and you look back and you think, hang on a minute. And life is a collection of these small steps, or what I call in my first book, small wins. Whereas you ignore them through the day because you're kind of too busy to realize. But when you look back at your small wins, you start to get this faith in your, like, wow, I actually get, not me, humans get stuff done. So then you start to trust that process. So you just up your game. Well, what do we do this time? I don't know. Right, okay, you write non-fiction. What do you want to do now? Let's write fiction. Okay, cool. All right, what about write an award-winning book? Okay. Why? Because you're alive, and why not keep pushing the game? It's not about dissatisfaction.
Yeah.
It's about just being alive and playing the game because you can.
When did you start writing?
I've kind of always been writing.
Yeah?
I did articles, and I wrote for I do martial arts, and I wrote for a magazine called Jiu-Jitsu Style for a long time, about 2 or 3 years. That's where, if you like, that's where I cut my kind of public writing teeth.
Right.
And then I wrote Hardest Path, and then on it went.
All right, we're going to play a game. We don't usually play games here.
I love games.
All right, I'm going to say a line, and you're going to have to tell me the first thing that pops into your head. And let's see how the conversation goes from there. Fiction vs non-fiction.
Barrier.
Yeah? How so?
Fiction, non-fiction is very much for me, someone comes to non-fiction to learn something, right?
Yeah.
And it's quite raw, it's there. How do I make, how do I make a table? ABC, fine, there it is. Fiction is a medium whereby it doesn't have to be that raw, so it's much more symbolic.
Yeah.
I actually think fiction is a little bit purer because it touches areas. It kind of circumnavigates the mind, goes into the soul. So you're learning stuff you don't know you're learning, and those lessons often go deeper.
You know, I find fiction in general, even though I'm a non-fiction reader, and we've established that at the panel discussion, but I'm a non-fiction reader. However, it feels to me that fiction makes for better writing sometimes.
Fiction?
Yes, it makes for better writing. It makes people write better because all people have to do right now at that moment is be nothing but artistic and creative and use your imaginary to its full proof. Not saying that nonfiction doesn't require, skill and talent and art. Of course it does. Yes, the creativity is still there, still valid. They're two different processes. However, it feels like when you're just sitting there and writing fiction, it's more like, it's la la la. While when you're doing nonfiction, you need to be sure that you're correct with things. You need to be sure that you're referenced into things, and that's just
I can't agree enough. And actually, It's the reason I moved into fiction for that challenge.
You were saying you moved into fiction during the pandemic. Tell me about that.
So, pandemic, all of us are locked in our house and thinking, well, okay, what now? What a weird time that was, right? Just like nothing like it. But for me, I thought, well, let's crack on then. Let's develop a writing career, as in a fiction writing career. Yeah. This is the place to learn. So you go online, anything you don't know, you check it out on your masterclasses, and then just write, read, write. I have manuscripts I've finished 3 novels in lockdown. Just because what else are you going to do? And that was a real, just as you were saying, it is writing. It's a very, very different type of writing. My first efforts were a fiction writer trying way too hard to be arty. They were horrific. Just flat, just awful.
We're not dropping names, are we, today?
No, we're not. But no, not at all. They were really awful. And then as you kind of go, but you have to go through that. You can't get from A to Z without going through the letter. So you have to have that. And my agent very nicely just sent them back.
He was like, thank you, take it.
We don't need to really discuss this. But so after you recover from that, we have a sort of a 10, in my house, we have a 10-second or a 10-minute sulking rule that you kind of can cry and moan and complain that life's not fair and why is my agent doing this to me? And then you go, it's fair enough, it was just not very good. But then, of course, you start to then calm down a bit, right? You start to go, I can clean that up. I can write simply and it still be metaphorical and have similes and hopefully be beautiful as well. Yeah. I will never be the most beautiful writer. There are much more gifted writers than me. But if I get a little bit close to where I want to be, happy days. I'm most interested in telling the story, if I'm honest.
All right. What do you do when you can't do it anymore?
Anything.
Yeah.
Halas, stop.
Yeah.
Seriously. So that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? My first career was pro tennis. I moved into coaching because I was a much better coach than competitive tennis player. Fine, whatever. And I remember the day, and I was at the height of my teaching. I was teaching, not that it matters, but I was teaching celebrities, royalty. You couldn't get any higher in coaching at where I was. That's not to show off. That's just to show where I was. I could have been happy. I remember standing on the baseline, looking over at a friend of mine who was like older and thinking, I don't want to be that age. I was mid-20s then, I think. Maybe, don't quote me on that. Looking over and going, I don't want to be that guy. I've done this. I've been in tennis at some level since 12. And I literally, at the end of that lesson, walked off the baseline, signed up for a Japanese acupressure course, and that was it, done. So when you can't do it anymore, don't. That is, for me, the key principle of Buddhist millionaireship. When it no longer floats your boat, when it no longer lights you up, change. Now, I like to change suddenly, but then, I don't necessarily recommend that. It's quite stressful. Not for me, but for others around me.
Starting over.
Yeah, but gradually go into something else and do the thing that just makes you smile all the time, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, nothing like loving what you do every day. Nothing like going into work and being proud of the work that you do, knowing that your work has purpose, it has meaning, and you're ready to entertain and make everyone, get into the same level of energy that you're ready to portray.
Well, then you're more useful to other people, right?
Of course.
If you are bringing something to the game, look at you, the way you present now. You clearly love what you're doing. I've been in interviews where people don't really love what they're doing. And it's a different beast. It's a different relationship. And so then, as Viktor Frankl says, man's search for meaning, which includes woman's search for meaning as well, of course. But meaning is everything. And if you whatever we agree on with, if anything happens after this life, let's assume it doesn't. You've got one life. Make the most of it. I don't mean that frivolously, but joyously. You've got the gift. Go for it. And then by you being happy, you're much more useful to your friends, family, other people.
So it's amazing. Well, last question of the day, right? Any advice, any last words for any writer out there trying to make it?
This sounds really facetious, and it isn't. But I give this advice all the time. Write. Don't go on Twitter and hashtag community. I can't write. I don't know what to do. Write. You will not get to Z, from A to Z, without going through the bits in the middle. Is it painful when you write stuff that makes you cringe when you read it back? Yes. Is it awful when your agent doesn't even bother to answer, just hands it back? Yes. But you have to write, because the magic is not in the end result. It's in that process of writing, like a pilgrimage, one step at a time. Write, and then write more.
For someone that wants to start a career in writing, someone that is, working on material, has already material, and is ready to put it out there, how would you recommend they find agents?
So you can, so the way I did that, so weirdly, I went online and the old classic Google, how to get an agent. Then I did courses, how to get an agent. As it turns out, weirdly, which is always the way. After I did all that research and how to write a synopsis and this and this and this, and basically invested in myself in time and money, right,
Yes.
to do it, it turns out that a so-called chance meeting with a friend of mine, his wife was an agent. But that's never by chance, right? You know that if you hadn't have done that work before, that chance encounter wouldn't have happened.
I get it.
So get out there, research. Oh, I haven't got an agent. Fine. You know what I said earlier? Life is decide where you are. So if that is, I haven't got an agent, right? That's where you are. I want an agent, right? Now there's that bit in the middle. Off you go. Crack on and find out how to do it.
Yeah.
And again, like everything else, success is inevitable. Success
Yeah.
is no magic. The magic in success is that it's not magic. It's a process. But you've got to walk. You've got to do each step at a time.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Matt, for today. This was a lot of fun. I hope you had fun.
I loved every second. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.